How's it going, YouTube? Coaching today with another video, and today, guys, what's bringing to you is going to be the meta update. Now, I do hope that you enjoyed today's video because it's a very information-dense video. There's a lot to go over, especially with Richmond coming up being the 300th. This is a big one to win and something that you're really going to want to prep for because we have quite the format ahead of us. If you haven't already checked out my sponsors over on Gem, Cloud, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, RW, MainPhaze, and Grimoire, definitely go ahead and do so all down below in the description. Now, if you haven't already checked out my coaching over at METAFY, definitely go ahead and do so. Now, I've received several messages about some crazy post about how I don't have YCS tops and shouldn't be a coach. Listen, it is what it is. People are going to hate. They're going to do whatever they want to do. You guys all watch my content, I would like to believe, because it's informational and educational. And this is because I spend thousands of hours into this game to make sure that the content is as accurate as possible, and I'm trying to teach through my content and show you the things to look out for, especially in Where to Hand Trap. That is, like, by and large, like, the flagship of my channel, and people watch that to really learn what to do in a format, especially when you don't have the time. I view coaching the same way. It's more so just one-on-one time to really get down to where you're at, what you want to do, and what you need help with learning. It's completely optional, and a lot of my content is just all free, right? It's just right on my channel. So, you know, if you do feel inclined to go check out coaching, then do so. And while you're there, check out my testimonials, because let me tell you, the people who have come through already into my coaching have had a great time and a great experience. So that's something where, you know, again, completely optional. And I understand that there's going to be hate online, guys. I really get it. And trust me, I'm over it myself, but it's not really gonna go anywhere. You have internet trolls everywhere, and it is what it is. It's the internet in 2026, you know? It's fine. But, you know, at the end of the day, I do offer coaching, and it's something that I am very proud of, and I do a very good job. So it's there if you want it. Definitely check out my Discord down below in the description if you want to join the new tournament that I'm hosting. First place is an SPQCR Italian, which is really cool. There's a Starlight Dark, there's a Marshmallow for third place, and then fourth gets a place at a Fallen Virtuous. So pretty awesome prizing for this. And then it's every 2 days on DB, you get a new opponent in your bracket, and then you'll be playing for obviously first through fourth. And, you know, it's going to be a really fun time. Post-burst protocol, what a better way to test for Richmond. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, definitely go ahead and do so we can hit our goal at 30,000, and let's hop right into the content. So the first thing that I have for you today is going to be what wins Richmond. Now, it could be a slew of things, to be honest, because this format is pretty wide open. Now, there's definitely going to be some heavier hitters in this format, but even things like Radiant Typhoon, any kind of like K9 variant like K9 VS or branded Dracotail, I think that those are all very good options. Personally, I believe that like the branded Dracotail Magistus deck will win. The Magistus cards are ridiculous. And I don't know why people have not been 100% just locked in with those, but those cards are really, really strong. You can eat through 3 or 4 hand traps like it's nothing. And I think that deck is actually ridiculous. I've been playing it a lot online, and the success rate for that so far has been crazy. So I can definitely do a separate video on that if you would like, but that deck, I think, has the best possibility of winning this weekend. But again, it could be one of like 8 different decks that win this weekend, which is kind of crazy. Now, as for my sleeper pick, it has to be Runic for Hire. Listen, people are not used to playing against the Runic cards anymore. If you snipe a one of Ecclesia or Cartesia, your opponent's in a really bad spot. Half their deck doesn't work. And, you know, having these cards in your deck, too, it's really kind of nuts because, again, they're offensive, defensive. You have things like Destruction in the deck. You have Flashing Fire. You have Curses. So you're in a really good position, especially with things like Vision now in the deck. You get a free Pot of Greed. It's kind of nice. Load up your grave for more Runic cards. Be able to cycle 3 more cards in your deck faster. There's a lot of upsides to playing Runic right now, especially with Malice not really in the format anymore. And then you also have Droll at 2. You have a lot of really good opportunities to play this with the new cards as well. The new For Hire cards are actually pretty fire. But this is my sleeper pick for the format. I expect to see at least 1 in Top Cut, but we'll have to wait and see because I think that this deck is going to be phenomenal. Now, after playing a lot more, I believe that the optimal hand trap lineup is going to be 3 Ash, 2 Droll, and 2 Bell. You can play 3 Bell if you want. And then you're siding a playset of Ogre and Mourner, and then you have Ogre for the Ecclesia Synchro, you have it for like the Vanquish Soul field spell, you have it for a lot of different instances, even like Masquerade against Lunalight, right? And then Mourner for things like Crocea, of course. And then if you can play Impulse, you should. I understand that it's not always in the cards for everyone, or your deck can't exactly play it, but this is a card that if you can, you should. It's a very strong card, and it should be there 100%. Now, you could say that any kind of Mitsu slot pile is going to be the best Impulse variant, but I think that Lunalight really is the best Impulse deck right now. Alongside all the other hand traps that you can play in a deck like this, I think this is definitely going to be one of the best, if not the best. This deck is really cool, and Liger is really not going anywhere, right? You still have Heavy Poly, 2 Droll in the format, people aren't playing Lancey anymore, so the deck has a lot of opportunity to just grow into the format and do really well. So if you're looking for a deck that's definitely on the cheaper side, alongside Impulse, which is like 36 right now, which is definitely not as bad as it could be, then this is going to be the deck for you. I think this deck has a really good time at the next event. As much as I want to play the new Rocket cards, I think they're kind of unplayable with Alba in the format. A lot of times right now, your opponent can just like get fallen on the board and just contact your whole board away, which is kind of scary. But it's the same thing if you're playing Alba and you play against like Branded Dracotail. If they're a worse player and they leave fallen on the board, you don't even have to commit a card to the board. You can just like mega fleet their board with Alba, right? So definitely very scary. I know that you have to get to like your second Fallen Virtuous, then you have to like pop your Fallen to get out the board and then set a new one with Albion just so your board doesn't get wiped like that. And that's something that you really have to think about if you're playing that deck, because Alba is a very scary card in a lot of instances right now. So that's something that if you have the space for it in your extra deck, you should just play it as a one-of. Just have it in your extra deck just for the opportunity that it happens, right? Because it could. And it's scary when it does. Is Crown needed? I don't think that it's necessarily needed, but man, is this card crazy. And I know that people are very 50-50 on it, and if it's like very good or very bad. I think this card has a lot of very unique application, and it's going to be a card that you definitely want in your deck if you're going to be able to have it, right? I understand that, again, this is something that's not always in the cards for everyone, but if you are able to get your hands on a playset of Crown, I probably would just play it. This card is really strong. And, you know, even if you're deciding as like a 3-of, just the ability to be able to blank a card completely for the turn is ridiculous. Whether it's you're trying to make sure that you can live for a turn, or your opponent committed something to the board that you just don't want to be used for the rest of the turn, right? You can use this immediately. This card should be a 3-of in your deck if you can afford it, right? Do I think it's necessarily needed? No. But is it something that I would have as a 3-of in my deck? Absolutely. Just because, like, this card is ridiculous. Now, for my notable BS of the format, this is something that I like to throw in just because I think that some locks are just not very fun to play against, of course. Secret Village, there are combos popping up in the format right now that you can actually just combo to a Secret Village and just shut your opponent out. The other one is the Fallen Virtuous Reborning Krisha or Invader, which is super cool, right? Against the Branded Dracotail deck. So make sure that you have a game plan for these, right? And of course, not always going to be a very great game plan for something like Secret Village, but Krisha and Invader, you can have things like DD Crow, Bestials, or just like Bell the Fallen and Virtuous, right? So definitely something that you got to keep in mind because these cards are around. Do we see a resurgence in Fiendsmith? Probably not. I think that we could see a little bit, especially in Elven Note, because people are using Armades to be able to go into the Fiendsmith engine since it's randomly a light fiend, right? But I don't really know if we'll see a whole lot of this. The cards are still really strong, but people are just opting to play other strategies and other different ideas for the format. But we will see Fiendsmith come back at some point. It will be back. But right now, I just don't necessarily see it happening. But maybe a couple variants of something with Fiendsmith will top at the next event, but we'll have to wait and see. Is Super Poly mandatory? Now, for my opinion, I think it is. I think you should be main decking 3 Super Poly or siding it. This card is way too good not to play right now. The amount of light monsters, especially in most variants trying to play the Fallen cards right now, you need this around, right? You can just board clear no problem. Play against Radiant Typhoon, board clear no problem, right? There's a lot of situations where you can be playing Super Poly and it's going to be live. and like very, very live, right? So this is a card that, yeah, I think it's a little mandatory right now. I think that you have to play this card. It's very strong for what it does, and it's going to net you a lot of value. Now, this is extremely niche, but if you're playing Vanquish Soul or Mermail, I've been seeing anti-magic arrows a lot. So this is something that if you're playing a deck like Radiant Typhoon, you should really be aware that when your opponent calls Battle Phase, you should know what you're signing up for when you say Battle Phase is fine. Because your opponent might just slap you with an anti-magic arrow, and that feels bad. And so that's something that, especially if you have a lot of back row, you have to weigh your options on letting Battle Phase start, right? Because at that point, you could be losing a lot of cards, or you could just straight up, like, lose the game, right? And it's not necessarily meaning that you're going to lose in the battle phase, because, like, a lot of times, they're not able to kill you in the battle phase at that point. But if you end up getting to MainPhaze 2 and they just, like, clear your board, right, you're in a really rough spot. So make sure that you understand that this card is in the format right now. Even if it's niche, it's in the format. Definitely go ahead and check out my Twitter, Twitch, Discord, and Instagram. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, subscribe. I hope that you all have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.